Chinese state television CCTV broadcast images of damaged houses and buildings and rescue teams heading to earthquake-hit areas in Sichuan, China.
At least 21 people were killed when a 6.6 magnitude earthquake struck Sichuan this Monday. More details on this later in the news. Good evening. I'm CJ Hero.
And I'm Nina Richie Alago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. And now for the headlines.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. held a bilateral meeting with Indonesian President Joko Widodo, where they both agreed to strengthen the two countries' cooperation on culture, economy, and defense. The chief executive also met with Filipino community in Jakarta. As President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is away on a state visit, Vice President Sara Duterte convenes the country's security sector and instructed them to show no mercy against criminals and terrorist groups. 10 people died and 15 others were injured in a stabbing rampage in two communities in Saskatchewan, Canada. Liz Truss is announced as the next Conservative Party leader and Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And Iglesia ni Cristo has launched its Care to Humanity program in Milpitas, California.
Leaders are witness to the positive impact.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Indonesian President Joko Widodo witnessed the signing of 4 agreements between the Philippines and Indonesia as Marcos embarks on his first state visit to Indonesia. In a joint statement, Marcos thanked Indonesia for being a partner of the Philippines. From Jakarta, Indonesia, Eden Santos has the details.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is confident that Philippines and Indonesia will continue to have strong ties in the years to come. In his bilateral meeting with Indonesian President Joko Widodo, President Marcos mentioned the significance of his state visit to Indonesia, citing the close relations between the two countries in terms of geographical location, culture, and ethnicity. In the next 2 years, Philippines and Indonesia will commemorate 75 years of its bilateral relations.
And I think that it is going to be the strong partnerships that we will make as we slowly come out of the pandemic economy is what is going to lead us to success. And that is why we go once again to our friends and to our partners around the world, especially in the region. Especially together with what we spoke about, the ASEAN member countries and the common concerns that we share. So again, it's those partnerships, I believe, that will keep the stability of all of our plans and what we are hoping to do in the next few years.
During their joint press statement after the bilateral meeting, President Marcos thanked President Widodo for Indonesia's assistance and involvement on the infrastructure programs of his predecessor, President Rodrigo Duterte. The chief executive also said he and Widodo agreed that ASEAN would play as the lead agent in changes that they would like to see in pursuing peace in the region.
We continue to thank Indonesia for the assistances and their involvement in the infrastructure programs of my predecessor, President Duterte, and their continuing commitment not only to go on and with these programs, but to increase the volume and the closeness between our two countries. We also spoke at length about the role that we believe ASEAN should play while we face the difficulties in this very volatile time in geopolitics, not only in our region, but also in the rest of the world. And we agreed that ASEAN is going to be the lead agent in the changes that we would like to see in continuing to bring peace to our countries.
Before their joint statements at Istana Bogor, the two leaders was presented for agreements signed between the Philippines and Indonesia on the areas of economy, defense, and culture, which include plan of action between the Government of Republic of Indonesia and the Government of the Republic of the Philippines from 2022 to 2027, Memorandum of Understanding between the Government of Republic of Indonesia and the Government of the Republic of the Philippines on cultural cooperation, agreement on cooperative activities in the field of defense and security between the Government of Republic of Indonesia and the Government of the Republic of the Philippines, and Memorandum of Understanding for cooperation in the development and promotion of creative economy between the Government of Republic of Indonesia and the Government of the Republic of the Philippines. President Marcos and First Lady Attorney Liza Araneta Marcos was welcomed by President Jokowi and his wife Iriana Joko Widodo. Included in the President Marcos Jr.'s delegation are Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, Trade Secretary Alfredo Pascual, Ilocos Representative Ferdinand Alexander Marcos, Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo, and Finance Secretary Benjamin Jokno. Among the activities during Marcos' visit at the Istana Bogor include veranda talks and the tree planting, in which Marcos planted pohon kayu ulin. From Jakarta, Indonesia, Eden Santos reporting for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Indonesian President Joko Widodo told reporters that the Philippines is buying sea and air assets from Indonesia. The Indonesian leader, after hosting President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., who is on a state visit in Jakarta, said Manila will be buying two landing platforms and air assets from their country. Details of the agreement have yet to be released, but the Indonesian leader said it is part of Indonesia and the Philippines border security agreements and mutual interest in upholding maritime laws. The Philippines and Indonesia signed a landmark maritime border agreement in 1994, which peacefully settled the two countries' overlapping claims in Mindanao and the Celebes Seas. In 1994, the Philippines and Indonesia signed that landmark Philippine-Indonesia Maritime Border Agreement, which peacefully settled the two countries' overlapping claims in the Mindanao area.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. was greeted with cheers from Filipinos on Sunday as he allotted his first day in Indonesia with the Filipino community in Jakarta. From Jakarta, Indonesia, Eden Santos files this report.
Before officially commencing his inaugural state visit to Indonesia, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. met with the Filipino community in Indonesia. More than 7,000 Filipinos, composed mostly of professionals, warmly welcomed the president at Fairmont Hotel. The president thanked the Filipino community for their sacrifices and love for their family and country. During his speech, Marcos said he is proud of Filipinos in Indonesia who became the country's ambassadors of goodwill.
Your good standing in Indonesian society has contributed to sustaining trade, tourism, people-to-people links between our countries. Your success here makes us all back home very, very, very proud. Every time we hear news of yet another success by our OFWs, we are always saying thank you for the glory you bring to our country, for the good name that you burnish and polish of our country abroad while you are abroad. Iba talaga ang galing ng Pinoy saan man sa mundo.
Members of the Filipino community are excited and happy that Marcos has chosen Indonesia for his first foreign trip. President Marcos assured the Filipino community in Indonesia that by next year, the Department of Migrant Workers will be fully operational to address concerns of overseas Filipino workers under the leadership of Secretary Susan Toots Ople.
Lagi po kayo namin iniisip at prioridad namin kayo kayong mga OFW dito sa administrasyong ito. Dahil Dahil dito, asahan po ninyo na magiging fully operational na sa simula ng 2023 ang Department of Migrant Workers sa pamumuno ni Kalihim Susan Toots Ople na siyang mangunguna sa pinakabago at isa sa pinakaimportanteng departamento sa aking kabinete dito sa ating gobyerno. Dahil alam naman namin lahat na napakalaki ng kontribusyon ninyong lahat sa Pilipinas, sa inyong mga pamilya at kahit na sa ekonomiya ng Pilipinas.
Muli, ang ika-17 Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas, President Romualdez Marcos Jr.
From Jakarta, Indonesia, this is Eden Santos reporting for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The Philippine government will proceed with deliberation on the case of Mary Jane Veloso, the Filipino worker incarcerated on death row for 12 years in Indonesia for drug trafficking. In a press briefing in Jakarta, Press Secretary Trixie Cruz Angeles made a cautious response when asked if President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will visit Veloso, who remains in detention in Yogyakarta. Cruz Angeles said that Veloso's case may come up during the talks of the two leaders, but she refused to discuss more about Veloso due to its sensitive nature. Yet, she stressed that the president is aware of the issue at hand. She also assured that the president is aware of the appeal made by Veloso's parents to negotiate with Widodo for clemency. Veloso was arrested in Indonesia in April 2010 for smuggling 2.6 kilograms of heroin in a suitcase. Throughout her trial, she repeatedly denied the drug charges, claiming that her recruiters tricked her by giving her a suitcase with illegal drugs concealed in the lining. Her case sparked international attention towards Indonesia's justice system. Her Indonesian lawyer, Agus Salim, admitted that Veloso did not have any lawyer or Tagalog translator during her interrogation. During her sentencing, Veloso was also not represented by a public defender, and her courtroom interpreter was not licensed. She was supposed to be executed by firing squad in April 2015, but was spared following the arrest of her recruiters in the Philippines.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has appointed Vice President Sara Duterte as caretaker of the government while he is attending official duties in his state visits to Indonesia and Singapore. In her capacity as OIC, the Vice President today convened with heads of the security sector, where she instructed them to show no mercy against criminals and terrorist groups. The meeting held at the Department of Education headquarters, which lasted for an hour, aims to strengthen the coordination and interagency cooperation on matters concerning national security and economic progress. The security sector meeting also tackled the proposed reinstatement of ROTC in both basic and higher education, but no mention of any threat to the country's security. Attendees in the sit-down meeting with Vice President Duterte include AFP Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Bartolome Bacaro, Philippine Army Commanding General Romeo Bronner Jr., Philippine Coast Guard Commandant Admiral Artemio Abu, and representatives from the Philippine Air Force, Philippine Navy, Philippine National Police, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, and Bureau of Fire and Protection.
Our policy against criminals and terrorists and those that support and espouse their ideologies of violence should be hardline. We should show no mercy to criminals and terrorists. As the caretaker, may I reiterate the Marcos administration's direction towards aggressively pursuing programs and projects that will address social inequities and further propel the country's progress post-pandemic. The Philippines will only be able to truly recover and build post-pandemic and meaningfully stand with honor and pride as a nation if we successfully address the threats to security.
The Department of Health has detected additional 656 cases of Omicron subvariants in the country. Based on the September 2 sequencing results, the DOH said there were 624 new cases of fast-spreading Omicron BA.5 subvariant. Of the new BA.5 cases, nearly 97% were local cases. Most of the additional cases were from Metro Manila with 134, followed by the Cordillera Administrative Region with 119 and Calabarzon with 61. Meanwhile, 13 additional BA.4 cases and one new BA.2.12.1 case were found, and 18 were tagged as other sublineages. The DOH said that COVID-19 cases in Visayas are on a plateau, while infections in Mindanao are showing signs of plateauing, while other areas are on a slow downward trend. The agency said the number of severe and critical cases is also showing a slow decline. On the record, over 72.6 million Filipinos have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. However, only 18.2 million people have received their first booster dose, while 2.3 million have received their second booster.
The Interagency Task Force Against COVID-19 convened this afternoon and discussed the country's health protocols, including the eased face mask rule imposed in Cebu City. Department of Health OIC Maria Rosario Vergere earlier said the Cebu City government did not consult their agency about its new regulation of optional wearing of face masks.
Pag-uusapan po ito ng mga ahensya na kasama natin para magkaroon po tayo ng rekomendasyon sa ating presidente.
Based on the executive order issued by Cebu City Mayor Michael Rama, there will be a trial period for non-obligatory or optional use of face masks in open areas from September 1 up to December 31. The EO also said that if there would be a COVID surge, the said rule would be automatically revoked. Vergere said this health protocol is risky because the COVID-19 virus may spread all over the country. She pointed out that it cannot be avoided that people from Cebu will go to another place in the country. The health official stressed the importance of using face masks and said that this still offers a better protection against the virus.
Science, ang mask provides us with 70 to 80% protection against the COVID-19 disease. Ang mask nakakaprotekta din sa atin kapag merong ibang sakit katulad nitong respiratory infections that are here in the country, no? Nandiyan na yung flu, nandiyan na yung pulmonya at iba pang mga sakit. Ang atin pong posisyon would be that meron ho tayong mga kondisyon for us to be able to ease some of the restrictions.
A resolution has been filed at the Senate seeking an investigation into the spam and phishing text messages that mobile phone users have been receiving regularly that have raised privacy and security concerns. These scam messages have prompted lawmakers to renew a push for SIM card registration. According to Senator Grace Poe, chairman of the Senate Committee on Public Services, the proposal is the priority of the Senate before the year ends. The Senate will also determine the issue of how the text scam spreads and what are the actions of the telecommunications companies. According to Senator Nancy Binay, it is alarming that she received such scam messages that indicate her name. Meanwhile, Senator J.V. Ejercito was almost a victim of a text scam who asked to give money. Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri also complained about the ones who called him, disguising as a government official. This Wednesday, officers of NTC, telcos, and DITC are set to face an investigation to explain why the personal information of cell phone users is being leaked to others, which is unlawful on data privacy law. Coming up, a stabbing rampage into communities in Saskatchewan, Canada, leaves 10 individuals dead and 15 others injured. 4 people are feared dead after a private jet crashes into the Baltic Sea. And G7 agrees to impose price cap on Russian oil. These and more stories when Mata ng Agila International returns.
Relo ko. Sikat na sa Europe.
May relo ka naman pala. Ba't lagi kang late dito?
Wala pang baterya. Ako nabibilan.
Marunong ho ba kayong mag-Ingles?
Yun lang ma'am. Di po ako marunong yan. Huwag kang mag-alala ma'am. Meron po akong interpreter.
Interpreter.
30 seconds! 10, 9,
get used to that, yung sumasalubong ako ng casket at makikita mo na lang siya, pangalan na lang.
OWA Administrator Arnel Ignacio sasagutin ang mga mainit na issue na kinakaharap ng OFWs. Punto por punto sasagutin.
I think we should slowly veer away from the narrative na lagi itong tungkol sa kawawa.
Kasama si Attorney Sal Panelo dito sa Counterpoint. Miyerkules, alas 10:30 ng gabi, dito lang sa Net 25.
Alam ko marami nakakalkal sa akin pero hindi ko akalain ito kakalkalin niyo.
This portion is brought to you by 318 Automart, Arlex Trading and Construction Supplies.
Welcome back to Mata ng Agila International. Canadian police have launched a manhunt for 2 men after 10 people were stabbed to death and another 15 injured. Rhonda Blackmore, Assistant Commissioner of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, says the stabbings took place in 2 communities in the Canadian province of Saskatchewan.
At this point in our investigation, we have located 10 deceased individuals in 13 locations in the community of James Smith Cree Nation and Weldon, Saskatchewan. Several additional victims have been injured, 15 of which at this point have been transported to various hospitals.
The manhunt covers the province of Saskatchewan as well as the neighboring provinces of Alberta and Manitoba. Police issued an alert telling people to be on the lookout for the 2 men, but not to approach them as they are considered armed and dangerous. There is no indication of the motive. RCMP said on Twitter that early indications are the victims were attacked randomly.
At least 21 people were killed when a 6.6 magnitude earthquake struck southwestern China today, state broadcaster CCTV reported. Initial surveys show that a number of towns in Sichuan province had sustained serious damage to housing due to mountain landslides, while telecommunication lines had been cut off in some areas. According to U.S. Geological Survey, the quake shortly before 1 p.m. hit around 43 kilometers southeast of the city of Kangding in Sichuan province at a depth of 10 kilometers. State media added that contact lines with Mokshi, a town of around 7,000 people near the epicenter, were severed in the aftermath of the quake. Meanwhile, at least 6 people were killed and 9 others were injured after an earthquake hit eastern Afghanistan. The 5.3 magnitude tremor was felt in the provinces of Kunar, Lagman, and Nangarhar, and in the capital, Kabul.
Swedish media reports that a private jet has crashed into the Baltic Sea off the Latvian coast. What you see here is an animated map of the flight path. 4 people were apparently aboard the plane and are feared dead. German media said the passengers were a man, a woman, and their daughter, in addition to the pilot. The plane took off from Jerez, Spain, and was en route to Caen, Germany, when it suddenly changed course and air traffic controllers could not make contact. Swedish, Danish, and German fighter jets were scrambled. When they spotted the plane, they did not see anyone. Swedish search and rescue spokesman Lars Antonsson says the plane continued to fly steadily until it reached the Latvian coast when it rapidly lost altitude. Antonsson says it crashed when it ran out of fuel. He says all of those aboard were clearly incapacitated, but the reason is unknown.
G7 members have agreed to impose a price cap on Russian oil in a bid to hit Moscow's ability to finance its military operations in Ukraine. At their virtual meeting, the finance ministers said the cap on crude oil and petroleum products would also help reduce global energy prices. The cap will be set at a level based on a range of technical inputs. The introduction of a price cap on Russian oil means countries that sign up for the policy will only be permitted to purchase Russian oil and petroleum products transported via sea that is sold at or below the price cap. The EU plans to impose the embargo on Russian crude oil on December 5. It will apply to crude shipped by tanker and most piped supplies. Meanwhile, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said it would stop selling oil to countries that impose price caps. Analysts also say China and India, the major trading partners of Russia, may not follow G7's policy on Russian oil. The said countries also did not join Western sanctions that targeted Russia.
Deposed Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa is back home. The Sri Lankan government has given Rajapaksa an official residence and security now that he has returned. The 73-year-old arrived home late Friday after fleeing the country amid economic turmoil in July. He first went to Singapore, where he announced his resignation. From there, Rajapaksa went to Thailand, where he spent weeks under virtual house arrest. Leaders of the protest campaign that toppled his government are calling for his arrest. Activist Nikita Miko says Rajapaksa should be brought to justice.
I have no issue with Gotabaya Rajapaksa coming back into this country. The issue is that while he was the president, there were several injustices and several crimes. So we need the relevant authorities to take action. If a citizen committed a crime, he would not just be investigated but also arrested. Therefore, I believe that the same system needs to be applied whether you are a government official or a citizen.
Liz Truss was announced as the UK's next Prime Minister after winning an internal leadership contest of the ruling Conservative Party. The Foreign Secretary beat her rival, former Finance Minister Rishi Sunak, by 81,326 votes to 60,399 after a summer-long internal contest sparked by Boris Johnson's resignation in July. She also becomes UK's third female Prime Minister, following Theresa May and Margaret Thatcher. She is also the UK's 15th Prime Minister since Queen Elizabeth took the throne. Meanwhile, Truss has promised to act quickly to tackle Britain's cost of living crisis, saying that within a week she will come up with a plan to tackle rising energy bills and secure future fuel supplies.
We will never feel safe again. And my friends, we need to show that we will deliver over the next 2 years. I will deliver a bold plan to cut taxes and grow our economy. I will deliver on the energy crisis, dealing with people's energy bills, but also dealing with the long-term issues we have on energy supply.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump made his first public appearance since the FBI searched his Florida home last month. He told a rally in Pennsylvania the search warrant was a shocking abuse of power.
The shameful raid and break-in of my home, Mar-a-Lago, was a travesty of justice that made a mockery of America's laws, traditions, and principles, before the entire world was watching, and they're shocked.
Trump told supporters at the Save America rally in the city of Wilkes-Barre that the FBI's action will produce a backlash, the likes of which nobody has ever seen. Authorities seized a number of classified documents from Trump's residence. He also hit back at President Joe Biden, who said in a speech a few days earlier that Trump and his Republican supporters represent an extremism that threatens the very foundation of the republic.
Joe Biden came to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to give the most vicious, hateful, and divisive speech ever delivered by an American president.
Trump's appearance at the rally was ahead of November's midterm elections, which will determine whether the Republican or Democrats have a majority in the Senate and House of Representatives.
Up next, England's Meteorological Office said England experienced its joint hottest summer on record this year. Argentine health officials say mysterious pneumonia likely a Legionnaire's disease. And Iglesia ni Cristo launched its Care to Humanity program in Milpitas, California. Stay tuned, Mata ng Agila International will be right back.
This portion is brought to you by Robic Builders, Quezon City Motor Vehicle Inspection Center.
This portion is brought to you by Source Alliance.
You're still watching Mata ng Agila International. England experienced its joint hottest summer on record this year, tied with 2018. The country's meteorological agency said that on Thursday. The Met Office, whose records date back to 1884, announced that 4 of the 5 warmest summers on record for England have occurred since 2003, as the effects of human-induced climate change are felt. Here's Patricia Rodriguez from United Kingdom.
The country's meteorological agency said England had its joint hottest summer on record this year, tied with 2018. The agency just unveiled its provisional mean temperature statistics for the 3-month period. England also smashed its all-time temperature record in July, when the mercury topped 40 degrees Celsius for the first time ever, while July was the driest on record across the south. Detailing the seasonal period starting in June, the Met Office, whose records date back to 1884, confirmed England's mean temperature of 17.1 degrees Celsius was the joint warmest ever, equaling the summer of 4 years ago. The hottest and driest areas relative to the average, with East Anglia and parts of Northeast England seeing their warmest summer on record. Across the entire UK, which also includes Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, it was provisionally the 4th warmest summer. The top British summers all in the last 2 decades were all very close in temperature, with the 2 hottest ever averaging 15.8 degrees and the 2 second hottest 15.7 degrees. This means that 4 of the 5 warmest summers on record for England have occurred since 2003, as the effects of human-induced climate change are felt on England's summer temperatures, the Met Office noted. This year's parched conditions have had an impact across England, notably with the source of the River Thames drying up and shifting several miles downstream. Satellite imagery has shown the nation's traditionally green and lush countryside turning to various shades of yellow and brown as huge swaths of south, central, and eastern England dried out. Some water companies have imposed restrictions on water use, including hosepipe bans with the lack of rainfall and punishing heat-depleting rivers, reservoirs, and groundwater levels. Thames Water, which supplies 15 million people in London and some surrounding areas, introduced a hosepipe ban in area from August 24, in first such restriction in the British capital in a decade. Severe heat waves made hotter and more frequent by climate change are already being felt beyond Britain and across the world, threatening human health, wildlife, and crop yields. This is Patricia Rodriguez reporting from the Bureau of London, United Kingdom for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Bracing for an impending heat wave, the state of Nevada in the U.S. encourages its residents to reduce electricity use. Here's Jalen Van de Cantos for the details.
Labor Day weekend usually represents the end of summer, but for this holiday weekend, current weather forecast calls for extreme heat in Nevada and the western United States through Wednesday. Nevada residents are urged to reduce electricity use as an excessive heat wave is underway. According to NV Energy, the state's power provider, this will put a strain in the western electric grid. With temperatures reaching way above 100 degrees or 38 degrees Celsius, the power company has asked residents to cut back on their electric use during the most critical time frame, which is the hours between 6 and 8 p.m. starting today and continuing through Tuesday. This is when the power grid is most stressed due to higher demand and less solar energy. During the critical timeframes, residents can help by setting back their thermostats to at least 78 degrees Fahrenheit or 26 degrees Celsius. This will reduce the use of air conditioning except if it's needed for medical issues. Use of dishwasher, washing machine, or dryer should be limited to before 10 a.m. or after 8 p.m. Likewise, electric vehicle charging should be done at the same specified times. Those with swimming pools are also encouraged to run their pool pumps after 8 p.m. In addition, turning off any unnecessary lights, unplugging appliances and electronic devices not in use, and simply even closing curtains or blinds to keep the heat out can also be very helpful. A prolonged period of excessive heat will also increase the risk for heat-related illnesses, especially for those working outdoors. But nevertheless, anyone could be susceptible to the impacts as well. So stay hydrated and stay out of the sun as much as possible. Emergency cooling stations have been established throughout southern Nevada during heat waves for anyone who needs it. Cooling centers can be found at community recreation centers or senior centers. Excessive heat waves like this one have been happening more often. Scientists have warned that they will continue to happen and even worsen due to the continuing impacts of climate change. Jalen Valdecantos, Las Vegas, Nevada. Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Health officials in Argentina say a mysterious pneumonia-like illness that has killed 4 people is caused by the bacteria that causes Legionnaire's disease. The deaths occurred at a sanatorium in the northern province of Tucumán. 7 other cases of the infection have been found there. Most were at a sanatorium. The first cases were reported in mid-August. Of the current cases, 4 patients are in hospital, 3 of them on ventilators, while the other 3 are recovering at home. The infection is linked to contaminated water or unclean air conditioning systems. Officials are trying to determine whether the bacteria is in the sanatorium's water system. Up next, the Philippine peso drops to a record low versus the US dollar. World number 3 Obiana nabs 3rd gold in just 9 days. And Adele makes 1 step closer to becoming an EGOT star. Stay tuned. Mata ng Agila International. We'll be right back.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. May lalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos every Sunday, 9 p.m.
And we're back here on Mata ng Agila International. After the Care for Humanity project was launched in various parts of Canada, a series of helping the underprivileged residents in the United States of America was subsequently started. The first venue was Milpitas, California, where government leaders and organizations recognized the great contribution of the Iglesia ni Cristo to other communities. Janina de la Paz Rufino has the details.
In Silicon Valley of Northern California, the global center for high technology and innovation is the city of Milpitas. It was also here on July 27th where a special proclamation was made by Mayor Rich Tran to commemorate the Church of Christ's 108th anniversary.
Now, therefore, I, Mayor Rich Tran, on behalf of the city of Milpitas, do hereby proclaim July 27th, Iglesia ni Cristo Day.
As outreach activities such as Care for Humanity events, coastal cleanups, and the like are constantly being conducted by the Church of Christ, including throughout the ecclesiastical district of Northwest California, communities and civic leaders are witness to the positive impact of the Church of Christ. And a proclamation like this isn't the first. In 2014, then Mayor of Milpitas, Jose Esteves, also proclaimed July 27th as Iglesia ni Cristo Day.
It's a recognition of the whole Iglesia ni Cristo community, recognition of what they are doing in the church and outside of the church, and what they have contributed to the community at large. And because of that, they deserve a day on honoring them as the Iglesia ni Cristo Day.
And today, he is here in Milpitas, present and greeted with a familiar and warm welcome. Attending a Care for Humanity event under the Felix Y. Manalo Foundation, the outreach arm of the Church of Christ aimed to bring much-needed assistance to the people in need in this community.
If you want support for community, tap or call on INC. They are here to help you, to help our community, because they love to give back whatever they have.
putting together of non-perishable and canned goods, these care packages went out to individuals and families in attendance. Norwin, an immigrant from India, is a witness to the impact of the church has made today.
It's not easy to make money in America. If you come from a different country, it's very difficult for you to survive. And I saw that the church gave a lot of helping bags. It's a big thing, yeah. To help somebody, you need to have a big heart. And I can see that the Church of Christ cares for people. And that's what I saw today in this event.
In addition to care packages, financial aid was also given to the organizations in the city of Milpitas dedicated to assisting families needing a help up.
I am just so proud today just to hear the leaders of INC. I have not seen any organization. It's the reverse. It's usually us giving to the Philippines, but today, this is a special day. Please allow me to take a picture of you, all of you. Thank you so much to the leadership of Iglesia ni Cristo, the Reverend Eduardo Manalo.
In attendance were public servants, the largest group present for a Care for Humanity event thus far.
We are a nation of immigrants, and immigrants make this country strong. And it is the work of organizations like Iglesia ni Cristo that give immigrants a fighting chance to make it in America.
I've seen how civically engaged the church is, how much they care about the humanity of people. I want to say thank you to the church and to the community for all the work you do, for helping people who don't have enough to eat, for helping people who are poor, for helping the disadvantaged. I'm so proud of all the work in my community and grateful for the church.
Among other attendees were also leaders of other religions.
Manalo. I'd like to thank him for launching him for doing this project for Care for Humanity. Nakikita natin, there is love, there is care, not only for the Iglesia ni Cristo, but for the whole humanity.
September 23rd, 2018, that's when I had my ordination as a pastor. I've seen other churches doing the same thing too, but the way Iglesia ni Cristo does the work is highly remarkable. The leadership, kind-heartedness of the people of Iglesia ni Cristo. That's one thing I have highest respect for.
Praises be unto our Father in heaven for allowing us to once again be able to fulfill one of His commands to show our love, our care for our fellow men. Through the mandate of our Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo Manalo, we conducted today the launching of the Care for Humanity here in the United States of America. If we still recall, the Care for Humanity was conducted first in the Philippines when the Executive Minister gave an instruction to the General Auditor of the Church, who is also the President of the FYM Foundation, Brother Glicerio P. Santos IV. And since it was a big success, our Executive Minister again gave a mandate to extend our help, our care for our fellow men overseas. In Canada, we had the series of Care for Humanity, and with God's help, it became a great success. A lot of people, especially those who are in need, people who are refugees, people who are homeless, people who are being affected by tragedy, they were able to receive the help and care of the Church of Christ through the administration.
And during the event, a special recognition was announced by former Mayor Jose Esteves, which gave inspiration to the members of the Church of Christ in attendance.
And there's one person that I know very well who has worked with me. I'm referring to the late Glicerio Santos Jr. I have the big honor to present a posthumous award to Brother Glicerio Santos Jr. for his excellence and exemplary performance in community and church service.
The late Brother Glucerio Santos Jr., former chairman of the FYM Foundation and one of the primary helpers of the executive minister of the Church of Christ, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo.
When I heard that he passed away 2021, and I said, as a mayor, I was looking back and said, I never had a chance to even appreciate and recognize him. And I always want to do this recognition to deserving people, exemplary people.
This recognition solidified that the work of God being fulfilled throughout the church administration and its helpers is evident, creating a lasting impression for all that have witnessed it, Church of Christ members and fellow men alike. As the Care for Humanity tour continues across the U.S., Church of Christ members will continue this work in the hopes of touching more lives with the help of the Almighty God. Janina De La Paz Trufino for Matana Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The Philippine peso sank to a record low of 56 pesos and 99 centavos versus the US dollar during intraday trading today, according to the Bankers Association of the Philippines. The local unit surpassed its previous record low of 56 pesos and 77 centavos posted at the Philippine dealing system. Data also showed that Monday's weighted average peso to US dollar exchange rate was at 56 pesos and 94 centavos. The local currency has lost more than 6 pesos or 11.8% in value since the start of the year.
Receiving the big cheers and applause of an adoring crowd, EJ Obiana sustained his gold medal juggernaut in Germany. The Filipino pole vault star and world number 3 ruled the St. Wendel City jump, taking his 3rd gold medal overall in a span of 9 days at the European circuit. Obiana cleared 5.86 meters to not only capture the mint against Men of Loon of the Netherlands and Anthony Amirati of France, but also set a new meet record. The Filipino star will have a chance to extend his amazing run as he sees action in the Memorial Van Damme tonight in Brussels, Belgium, the ISTAF 2022 on Sunday in Berlin, and the Golden Fly on September 11 in Schaan, Liechtenstein.
Now Adele is one step closer to becoming an EGOT after winning an Emmy this weekend. The singer-songwriter proudly posed for a pair of selfies with an Emmy statuette following the 2022 Creative Arts Emmy Awards, where Adele, one night only, emerged as one of the night's top winners. The star won the Emmy for Outstanding Variety Special, and her CBS television special was the victor in 4 other categories. Adele had already won 15 Grammys and an Oscar, and now she only needs to take home a Tony to reach the status of EGOT, or a winner of an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and Tony, 4 of the major American entertainment awards. Composer Richard Rodgers, singer John Legend, and actresses Audrey Hepburn and Whoopi Goldberg are just some of the only 17 people who have achieved that coveted EGOT status. Maybe it's time for Adele to brush up on her theater skills if she desires an EGOT status.
I love Adele so much. And now here are some historical events that happened on this day, September 5th. In 1972, Palestinian militants belonging to the Black September terrorist group attacked the Olympic Village in Munich, West Germany, during the Summer Olympic Games, taking hostages and eventually killing 11 members of the Israeli team. In 1976, the Philippine International Convention Center, or PICC, was formally inaugurated. It was opened in time for the country's hosting of the 1976 World Bank International Monetary Fund annual meeting. And in 1977, NASA launched the Voyager 1 probe from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It is currently the farthest man-made object in space.
Well, it is Monday, and to help you start your week, here's a quote from Gary Keller, an American entrepreneur and best-selling author. Life is a question, and how we live it is our answer.
Well, what do we really know about life, right? We don't know what's going to happen in the future. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. What matters is what we do now, how we respond to every challenge that comes our way.
Exactly. And whenever we have to answer, it has to be every day. Every day there are questions, and every day those questions need to be addressed, right? And it is by way of living it. Like what you would eat, the choices that you make day in and day out, every day, every week, all the time.
So think about that today, Monday, for the rest of the week.
Right.
And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I'm CJ Hero.
And I am Nina Richie Alago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.